Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to the first Apache NetBeans virtual meetup. The idea behind this is to have a meetup every few weeks. It seems like right now the idea is every 2 weeks, just to touch base and to know who we are and to see what needs to be done, and so that we can quickly coordinate things, and so that if there are problems in using NetBeans or in working on issues, we can quickly discuss that together. And we'll see how it goes. If it's useful, we can continue doing it. If not, not. It might be nice if we could very quickly say who we are. So my name is Geert-Jan. I've been involved with NetBeans since about 2004. I'm working in Prague, inside Sun, and then in Oracle. And now we're moving the whole project to Apache, and we can talk about that too, if you like. And I live in Amsterdam. So, Jirka, are you on the call? I think I saw Jirka coming in. Okay. Then, if not, yes, Jirka, you're here, but you're on mute. You're having connectivity issues? Okay. So can we go to Tilina? Can you show us maybe, put your camera on and say who you are and where you are in the world and things like that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Yeah, I'm from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I'm just 32 years old now. And I'm using NetBeans, I think it's about 9 years or something. I just started doing programming with NetBeans actually. In my early stage, when I'm in college, I just started using NetBeans. That's the first IDE I used, right? In that time, I think after a few years, then I noticed you, Gretchen, in some blog post how to use NetBeans platform to make some softwares. Then I started following you, and I wanted to know things like how to make IDE and what are the things, how these things happen. Then I just went through in about 6 years or something back. I went through the Edgy repository of NetBeans, and I just started tweaking things for my just personal things. When I wanted to start some new projects in that stage, I just look into the NetBeans source code and look into how that things implemented in the NetBeans, and then I try to implement in my projects in the same way, and that is how I just get to know the NetBeans source.
Nice.
Right? But actually, I'm not fluent in the NetBeans API's deep things, but I'm using basic things like module system and the Windows system, then like that things. So in the past few years, I have made a couple of NetBeans platform based projects, softwares. That's how I come into the NetBeans things, right? I'm now working as a senior software engineer at Nano Creations Private Limited. Hello.
And so,
I think there was a problem with the network. Right. That is who I am.
Okay.
I'm from Sri Lanka. It's located near India.
Perfect.
In Asia. Yeah.
So which areas of Apache NetBeans are you interested in working on?
Actually, the API, that RCP modules. I'm working on some creating modules, and most of projects I divide into modules, and then I implement as NetBeans module, set of NetBeans modules. One big project I divide into several NetBeans modules and implement those modules one by one. That's what I'm doing. So I think I'm a bit familiar with that RCP thing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So welcome and great to see you after all these years. Yeah. So Jirka, are you here, and can you hear us or not? I can see you having connectivity issues. Okay. If not, I see. So who would like to introduce themselves next? So I can see someone's face, but not your name. Jitster, are you? Network problem, seems like. Kai, maybe you can say who you are and tell us a bit about what your interest in NetBeans is. Okay, I think I dropped out, but I'm back. So Jirka, are you there? No. Okay, Jitster. Hi. There's somebody called Jitster. I can see your face. Can you speak?
So Gerten,
Yes.
Gerten, you are on mute. Probably.
Okay, I'm on mute. No longer. I am no longer on mute. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It's fine now.
Jitster, can you say a bit about who you are and what your interest in NetBeans is? I think Jitster is your name. Are you Christian or? Who would like to introduce themselves next? We know who Tilina is. Kai, can you tell us who you are? A lot of people are on mute, so if you're talking, we can't hear you. I think you can hear me. Masaki, can you tell us who you are?
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you show your your face? Can you switch video on?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm working at phone now.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. My name is Masaki Katakai.
Okay.
I haven't joined the community yet. I haven't committed any code, but I have working on the NetBeans, mainly for the internationalization and localization. So I know the translation will be donated at the third donation.
Yeah.
So so I'm very interested with such donation, and if I could help the community, I'll be happy.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Yes. So in the third donation, we will indeed have the release bundles, and it would be great if we have set up some way in which to use them. And I know there was Omniture, or there was some project that you were using. There was inside Sun and Oracle, there was some system that you were using for translating NetBeans, right?
Yeah, yes.
So can we continue to use that in Apache?
I'd ask to my manager. Because translation is, we need a cost, especially the NetBeans. We have many modules.
Yeah.
So we can discuss inside the Oracle.
Sure. It would be nice if the community could contribute translations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so we've talked to Lina and to Masaki. Jirka, are you here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Jirka, hi.
Oh, excellent. Hi. Well, I was really struggling with my first setup at Midjitsai, or what's the domain name? So hello everyone. My name is Jiří Kowalski, or you can call me Jirka. That's an informal way. I prefer more. I would like to share you my camera, but it doesn't work for some reason. But I promise I will do better next time, hopefully. Okay. And so my role has been I was driving Netcat programs, NetBeans community acceptance testing programs. I was also coordinating effort done by plugin portal verifiers, another small team of community contributors who were responsible for testing or validating that the plugins that wanted to be published on our NetBeans plugin portal update center work fine. And and I also was like helping with some other small projects, but Netcat and Plugin Portal are the most significant ones. I don't know. Is this Kerjan like for the intro or?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. We're just getting to know each other briefly. And
sure.
Somebody called Christian. Can you say who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Christian. I live in Norway, and I've been using NetBeans for quite a few years. Created some internal business applications for the company I work for and privately. Interested in doing something for the second code donation, reviewing. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And which features of NetBeans do you use? Are you using the Java parts? Or are you doing PHP development or C++ or what?
Java and Groovy.
Groovy?
Mostly Java. Yeah.
Groovy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And so let's see. And Jitster, can you tell us who you are and what you're doing with NetBeans? Your name is Jitster. I can see your camera. And you're frowning now? Oh, that's Jan Lahoda.
Right.
Sorry, you're not recognizable here. Okay, hi.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, somehow I don't recognize
I'm
you.
Lahoda.
Yeah. Okay, just please tell us briefly about who you are for the people who don't know you.
Yeah, I worked on NetBeans for a very long time, like 13 years, in the quality assurance, in development. I was working on the Java language support, and my interest is mostly in the Java language support and related stuff. That's mostly it.
So I think, Jan, I think people who know you can also call you Hansa. Sometimes you hear Hansa for Jan Lahoda, and sometimes you hear Jirka instead of Jiří Kowalski. So all Czech people have another name for some reason.
We have these other names. Yeah.
Yes.
And we have formal and informal ways. It's
yes.
like Timothy and Tim. It's same.
And like Yarda and Yaroslav. So sometimes you hear about Yaroslav Tulach and it will be Yarda. And you hear Hansa when it's normally if someone is called Jan in the Czech Republic, then the name is Hansa. I don't know how that works, but it's a consistent rule, I think. Okay, cool. So let's see. And so who is this? So I think that's Christian. No, there's someone else here that I see. I don't know what your name is. Can you tell us who you are and where you are and what, how you would like to be involved in the project? Someone with a beard and a smile and glasses.
Yeah, fellow Jitster or
yes, but that's the generic name, I think.
Yeah, Gertan, that was me. Hi.
Yeah, I know, but but there's another one.
I don't think so. Someone in blue T-shirt.
Yeah, someone with the
glasses.
same generic description as Hansa Lahoda, but looking different, and also named Jitster. So we're just going through and we're trying to say who we are and where we are in the world. So far we've seen Hansa Lahoda and Telina in Sri Lanka and Masaki and Jirka and Christian in Norway and me. And that leaves two people. One of them is Kai. Kai, can you tell us where you are and what you're doing with NetBeans? You're on mute, by the way. Okay, not hearing anything from Kai. And then this other person with a nice beard and glasses and looking very friendly, but you're on mute, so we can't hear you talking now.
How can I have to switch it on somehow?
Yes, perfect. We can hear you. Can we hear? Yes, we could hear you for a second, but now you're on mute again.
Hi all. I'm Boris from Germany.
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I've never used this app before. So I'm Boris from Germany, and I've received the email about a minute ago, so I didn't know. I've just switched it all on.
Perfect.
So, okay, I've been working with the NetBeans platform for about 10 years or so, and I think today I'll only listen and just see how it all works and what I can do.
Yes.
I still don't know yet.
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. So Boris in Germany, Christian in Norway, Jirka in Czech, Masaki, Japan, Tulina, Sri Lanka, Onzala Hoda, Czech, and Kai, if you can say something. Are you on mute? If you are saying something, you're on mute, so we can't hear you. Okay, you can just listen. So the purpose of these meetings, so we thought it would be nice to have a meeting every 2 weeks or so, just to see who wants to be really active, to have discussions like this, just to know who we are working on the NetBeans project together. If there are problems, if you're working on a plugin, for example, and some API doesn't work or you don't understand it, we can discuss that together. If NetBeans doesn't do what you want it to do. So I think also generic user questions can be answered here. And there will always be an agenda. So the agenda for today is to talk about the current state of the project, to see where we are, to talk about the release cycle, the roadmap, to look at the second donation, to see what tasks we can work on together. And then we will always leave some time at the end for generic discussions and questions that anyone has. Are there any additions or questions about that generic idea? Jirka, do you have any additions to this?
I don't think so. Yeah, we should just start smoothly without like heavy agenda.
Exactly.
Just to be familiar with this.
Yeah. So you will see that basically, for the moment, you will see that the people who will be kind of guiding these meetings will be me and Jirka. And we'll see how it goes, and this can always change, but we are kind of driving these meetings for the moment. So very briefly, and I can share my screen, so I'm going to do that. I can share my screen. Oh, I need to add some plugin to make this possible. I'm trying to share my screen now, and you should see my GitHub repo, right? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So the first point I want to make is that we have reached a very important milestone recently. The most important milestone that we have been working towards for a really long time, since October 2016, and that is that we have released our first official release of NetBeans in Apache. And there is a release page where you will find that information. We now have Apache NetBeans 9. And you will always see that it says Apache NetBeans Incubating 9. And that incubating means that NetBeans is an Apache project. And before we become a top-level project, we need to spend time in the incubator. And this is a process that all Apache projects go through. The incubator is a place where the community gets to know each other, and the project is discussed, and we work on releases. And we can be in the incubator forever, really. It doesn't mean once we have a release that we leave the incubator. What it means is that at some point in our work, we can decide, well, we know each other very well. We have done some releases. Everything from Oracle has been donated. Let's go and become an official project. And then we vote on that together, and then we become a top-level project. But we can stay in the incubator for many years. There's no problem with that. So incubating doesn't say anything about the state of Apache NetBeans IDE. It says something about the state of the Apache NetBeans project. So for Apache, the community is actually more important than the software. And so this is a comment on the community and on how we work together. So right now we have the first release, and it consists of the first donation. And the story there, I think most people know this, is that in Oracle we decided we will donate NetBeans in different stages because NetBeans is very large. And in fact, there is a page on Apache. If you go to projects, apache.org/statistics, you will see that NetBeans, and this has recently been updated, NetBeans is by far the largest project in Apache right now. So there are 7.4 million lines of code that are now in Apache that are part of the NetBeans project. The next biggest project is OpenOffice at 1 million lines less. And we still have a lot of code coming. So we are going to be the largest project in Apache, which is important only because to point out that we have, we are very large, and this makes things complicated. You can see that right now there are so many modules because we have integrated the second donation into the master. There's really a lot of code. So I think at some point it will make sense for us to more or less form tribes around particular features. So if you are very interested in PHP, for example, then you will be on a team within the Apache NetBeans project focused on PHP. And if you are very interested in Groovy, then you will be in a team within Apache NetBeans focused on Groovy. But that will come, I think, over time, that we will become more and more specialized in particular areas because the project is so large. So that's in general where the project is. Now, we have recently moved the second donation. So the first release of NetBeans was the first donation, which was only the Java SE parts. And so many users of NetBeans are very disappointed because they had assumed there would be PHP or Java EE or other tools in the first release. But of course, we hadn't donated from Oracle those features yet at the time that we released Apache NetBeans 9. In the meantime, Oracle has released, has donated the second donation, which consists of many other features. So right now in Apache NetBeans, in the master repo, we have now, for example, Groovy modules. So everything in NetBeans that relates to Groovy is currently in our main repo. And the same thing with PHP. So if you go down, you will see that there are our whole PHP, all our PHP features are currently included in Apache NetBeans Git repo. And the same is true for Java EE. So all these modules are there, but we cannot release them yet. I'm looking for Java EE. So you can see many modules that do, like J2EE, for example, all of these. This is Java EE or Jakarta EE, and JavaScript modules are in here too, but we can't release these yet. And the reason for that is that if I go into, for example, let's take Java EE, well, if I can quickly find an example, J2EE core, we go in here and we go into this file maybe, and we can see here, okay, this one is licensed to Apache, but by no means everything is licensed to Apache yet. Well, the J2EE core was maybe part of the first donation, but anyway, every single file that we want to release needs to be licensed to Apache. And right now, this is definitely not the case for everything. So for example, here we are in JBoss, and we see, okay, so we've done some initial processing already. But for example, here's a form file. And here you can see there's no license. Now, here's an example. We have here a form file. It doesn't have a license. Now, for Apache to release any file, each file needs to be licensed to Apache. And so we went through a very long process for the first donation to relicense everything, and not just to relicense everything, and we have tools for that, but we also need to do some parts manually. But we also need to make sure that the jars that are part of those modules can be released through Apache, because Apache has rules about the licensing of the jars that can be released. And if a jar is licensed GPL, especially, or one of the sub licenses from GPL, then we cannot release them. So we had to remove, for example, Hibernate support from NetBeans because Hibernate is GPL licensed. We had to remove Beans binding because Beans binding is GPL licensed. So some features we will not have, or we can provide via plugins, or we need to think about solutions for. So there's that work that needs to be done for each of these parts of NetBeans. And so on the wiki, so if I go to the Apache NetBeans wiki, you will see that there is a, let's see here in Apache NetBeans, I'm not sure where exactly it is put. Oh, here, second donation, list of modules to review, second donation. So here, this was for the first donation. So here are all the, here is a row in the table for each module that was part of the first donation. And somebody put their name, so somebody assigned themselves to each row in the table and looked in that particular module and to see if there was an external library and if there were problems with the RAT report. And so in some cases there were external libraries. And we needed to check whether they were licensed to Apache or whether they were licensed to somewhere else. And we needed to take a look at any problems, anything that might be strange, anything that jumps out at you. And we put that into this table. Now, in fact, we need to do the same thing for the second donation. So if the first point would be to think about what do you like about NetBeans. So if you like the Groovy features, then you would go to this to here, and you would put your name in this list, and then you can take a look over here to see what was done. And you would see, oh, okay, so somebody looked for an external library, someone checked the RAT report, and there is a link to the RAT report that you will find. You can run ant-rat as well, and add some comments, do some inspection of those modules. And the modules you can simply get from the main Git repo. So you will do a fork if you haven't done a fork, and clone your fork, and then take a look at the modules that you have assigned to yourself. So it's very important that you first of all put your name in these tables to say, okay, I'm going to work on these ones, so that no one else goes and does the same work. So this is something that everyone can do from right now. Pick a few rows in the table, look at your clone, take a look look at each file to see if it's been licensed to Apache. If not, you can do a pull request for those files that and relicense them to Apache. Look at the library. So this is one thing that everyone can do. Something else that everybody can do is there is this new page we added today, using the 8.2 plugins in 9.0. So this is a simpler task than that. I mean, this task that I've just described is a little bit complex. It means you have to look at the source code. But this task is even simpler. Go to the NetBeans plugin portal, find plugins that you find interesting. And you can see already some people are doing this since this morning, which is really very, very useful, very important. Find the plugins that you find useful, install them into Apache NetBeans 9.0, see if they work, and then add some comments into this table, and we will need to see what needs to be done. In most cases, the source code is available, so we can work together with the owner of that plugin to prepare that plugin for 9.0. So here are two very clear tasks that everyone here on this call can already be involved in. Jirka, do you have anything to add to my explanations?
No, I don't think I have anything. I have just noticed that Emilian would like to add something.
Okay, sorry. Let me get back to my browser now. Emilian, you want to add something? Sorry, Emilian, you came in a bit later. You can tell us who you are and where you are and how you are involved in NetBeans as well.
Yes, hello. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I never use this Jitsi Meet stuff.
Yes. You did great.
Can you speak up a bit?
Yeah, can you speak a bit louder?
I'm Emilian Bold. I've been involved with NetBeans since, I don't know, many years. Did a lot of consulting with NetBeans. And lately I've been the release manager for 9.0 and release candidate 1. So, okay, so I wonder, is this any better now?
This is much better, yes.
Okay, so I'm using an external
Perfect.
headset now. Okay, so I was wondering about the module cleanup that you want to do for the second donation. I remember that last time when we did it with Hacktoberfest, the GitHub event that they did in last year. It was much easier for people to use GitHub issues. So I was wondering, instead of doing the same huge Jira table and stuff, couldn't we like officially try to use GitHub with issues for each independent module?
Yep. So
So
you think for each module or for each cluster there should be an issue?
No, for each module. So for example, look, I'm going to paste something in the chat that we have here.
Yep, got it.
So see, so this is one issue. And basically I had like this little script that took the whole table from Jira and then created GitHub issues on my GitHub repository, but we could do it with the official Apache one, I think. I don't know if they allow us to make issues there. And the idea was that for each one of them, I created this small generated blog text explaining what needs to be done. And then I had people come up and take ownership of a given module, and then we could talk on. You see, so
Perfect.
it was a lot of work for me, especially because I had to update the Jira stuff. But if you go straight to independent issues per each module, then perhaps it should be faster. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's certainly easier for people that just live in GitHub to contribute.
Yeah. But I mean, somebody would need to create an issue for each module.
Well, if you look in my repository, there were like 227 issues, so I didn't make them by hand. I had a script that looked in the Jira tables and generated the GitHub issues, so I can like publish that stuff and maybe somebody tries it or something. I don't know.
Yes.
So it's auto-generated. I didn't make it by hand, but it's nothing fancy. I just used the, I don't know, GitHub APIs and blah, blah, blah. There was some.
If you can contribute that to the Incubator NetBeans Tools repo, that would be the good place
I'll
for
just put it somewhere and people can just copy-paste it or something. It wasn't very fancy, but just did the job. So I parsed the HTML from Jira, and then I created the GitHub issues on the other side with a little template message. So that was it.
Yep.
So that was my impression. I mean, I think last time it was more work for me just to update the Jira in parallel with talking with people on GitHub. So I think it would be easier for us, instead of explaining the whole Jira thing, just to push them to GitHub.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where everybody is anyway. So that's it. I don't know about the other stuff with the plugins. That's nice. We could do like a port stuff, like they have for BSDs. We could just take the source code for all of them and build them ourselves or something. That would be interesting, but that's secondary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, okay. So I mean, even in a way, it's a little bit too early to work on this right now because. And this is maybe where Hamza Lahoda can suggest something. I started relicensing the forms per cluster. I made a mistake. This should have been done on the second donation branch. It would have been logical. It would have been much easier to relicense everything there, because I ran the add form license tool across the whole Git repo after the second donation was integrated. And then the Apache license was added to every single form file, even those that already had it. So of course we could do a check to check whether or not the license is already there. But instead of that, what I started doing is relicensing per cluster. And so I run that tool on a particular module. And once I've gone through all the modules in a cluster, then I did a push. But the Travis build keeps failing. So Honza, do you have any insights into why this could be? If you are here still. Is Honza Lahoda still here or gone? No. Well, anyway, Emilian, do you have any idea why this could be?
I think it's a bug in the script. It shouldn't add the header a second time. It should be easy to detect if there already is a header.
Sure. But I did this this push of these licensed form files, and the Travis build failed. So this is a different thing. Because we're going to end up changing hundreds of files, so I thought it might be nice to do it for each cluster. But this particular one hasn't succeeded. This particular PR to Travis.
651.
651, yeah.
But only the second one passed, so.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it says in the message, this job was cancelled because auto-cancellation feature is currently enabled, and a more recent build for pull request, blah, 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 came in while this job was waiting to be processed. So I think it just tried to make a build for their first push, and then it went straight to the second.
Okay.
Not an error, it just skipped it, basically.
Okay.
So I think this is fine.
Okay. Do you think there's any objection to merging this right now? It simply adds Apache licenses to all the form files in the enterprise cluster.
I have no problem with that, although I think we discussed this before. We should not have licenses in form files, but
I agree. But in some cases, I think there are battles that are not worth fighting with Apache.
Yeah, we should just make the form file a binary format, and then we could get rid of this problem.
Sure. Okay, any objections to merging this? I think we should have a rule. We should merge at least one PR in every meeting we have. Any objections?
Not from me.
Okay.
Go ahead, Christian.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so we are in the last 15 minutes of this meeting, and I think we should move on from these kinds of discussions. It's very clear what everyone can do on this call. At the very least, you can take a look at this page using 8.2 plugins in 9.0. Find your favorite plugins or the ones that you've written yourself in the plugin portal. Try it in 9.0 and leave some comments here about whether it works or not and its status. Everyone can do this. It would be wonderful to have as many plugins as possible verified. In terms of the second donation, we're going to work on this approach that Emilian suggests about creating issues per modules, and that will make it easier to assign them. Any questions about that?
Yes, I was wondering about the plugin stuff that you are trying to do. I didn't saw the email, but since all of them have source code, wouldn't this allow us to make like a plugin portal that's at least open source? because the plugin portal is also something that needs to like be decided with.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, the commercial stuff or closed source stuff clearly can't be like hosted by Apache. But if we make like a ports tree in GitHub or somewhere, that should be easier for us to publish or something, you know?
So that everyone would be committing their code for their plugin into the same repo.
No, actually, I'm thinking at the way that, you know, Linux distributions or BSD distributions handle this kind of stuff. So, for example, if you use Ubuntu, they give you Firefox and they give you like everything, Python and Java and stuff, and they have their own tree where they just, I guess, periodically they just merge with the upstream or something like that. No.
Mm-hmm.
So for open source plugins, we could do something like that ourselves. I mean, if it just builds with n run or something, or n build, then we could just take all the open source plugins that people actually kind of use, at least, and build them ourselves and have like a open source plugin portal for NetBeans.
That's an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea. However, I'm afraid that we would be just like Linux distributions, always be lacking behind with the features and the versions that the real owners support and maintain and work on. So it would be like duplicate of work, wouldn't it? So
yeah,
they would work in their own repositories, and we would be cloning or updating their repositories ourselves, building in it, publishing it.
Yeah, but
whereas
what's the alternative? Why are the Linux distributions doing it?
The alternative is, I believe, to leave it up to the owners.
Yes, but
if they are interested in contributing to NetBeans, then they obviously would be also contributing their binaries, no?
No, the idea is that of accessibility, as in, how would the user know about your useful plugin for NetBeans? If you just have your own GitHub username and you put your binary there, how would the user know? Because the plugin portal right now with Apache, it gives you this discoverability where the user can just search for like, I want to set my caret blink rate or something like that nobody needs, you know, and they will find out about your plugin. So the problem is that right now we cannot give the users a plugin portal due to the Apache licensed things. So we have nothing, you know. So
but we are
having something open source, you're like giving something to users. And it's also more secure if you build it yourself, instead of just allowing people to upload random binaries, which you just distribute under your name, and you trust the authors that they actually don't give you like viruses or stuff, you know? So that's it. It's an idea. I mean, somebody would have to work on this too. So.
So would this mean that there would have to be a central repo where all of these source distributions of the plugins are found?
Yes, just create a GitHub repository on somewhere. I mean, doesn't even have to be underneath NetBeans, probably, because there are maybe like GPL plugins and stuff like that.
Right.
But we could do it outside Apache, and you just vendor everything, and you synchronize periodically with the upstream plugins repository. But you build it yourself, so at least you guarantee to your users that the binary they are seeing has been built by you, and it represents their source code, which you control. And I think the security aspect of plugins has been largely ignored by Sun and Oracle and everybody else.
Okay.
Why do you think so?
Sorry?
I don't understand. Why do you think so? We had the team of plugin verifiers whose job was exactly this, to test the plugins before making them visible to the end users. And then they could simply go to tools, plugins, and conveniently search for plugins and install them from within the IDE. Yeah.
Well, the NetBeans plugin module system does not have any kind of sandboxing. So the way I see it, all you can verify with the plugin verifier doing some 10 minutes usage of a plugin is that it actually does something related to what it says that it does. You're not verifying that it's actually secure in any way. You're not verifying that it's downloading something online, or maybe that 3 weeks from now it accesses a URL and gets something from there. So you're at the mercy of the binary that you're running. While if we build it ourselves, at least you have a matching source code for the binary that you're serving your users, and you can actually look into it. I mean, we had at some point, but I think this happened recently. I mean, towards the end, we had somebody upload the plugin to the plugin portal, and then they added a comment, something along the line. Yeah, if Windows asks you for your administrator password, just click yes, and then the plugin will do, I don't know, something, whatever it was supposed to do. So they were just like instructing users to just enter their administrator password into the whatever warning dialog Windows was giving, which probably means that the plugin was trying to elevate permissions and become root or something, you know? So, I don't know. I think the responsibility of giving users just random binaries is much larger than we assumed.
Okay, I think we need to table this for our next meeting and maybe have a separate discussion on that in these meetings. It's getting to the top of the hour. My assumption is, actually, we didn't specify that, but that these meetings would take an hour. So I think we should leave this topic for the moment. Is that okay, Emilian?
Yeah, no, I came like 20 minutes in. I just saw your email on the mailing list.
Yeah.
So I have no problem. These are just ideas that are going through my head. I don't actually want to work on all of them. So
yeah, perfect. Now this is perfect. This is exactly why we need to have these meetings to kind of brainstorm these topics and so on. So the idea so far is to have this this meeting every 2 weeks. And to see how it goes. If it's useful, we continue doing it. If not, not. At least it's very nice to see everyone's face and or to hear everyone's voice. So we have the next one scheduled for 2 weeks from now. We see how it goes. At the end of the 4 weeks, we can schedule the next set. I think we should also leave space for people to complain about things not working the way they want, and people to raise their issues and so on. So in the 3 or 4 minutes remaining, is there anyone on the call who has something not working the way they want in NetBeans, or they're working on an issue and it doesn't work for them, or there's an API that doesn't work for them, or something like that? Or any other comments or complaints? Selina in Sri Lanka, Masaki, Christian in Norway.
Hello.
Hi.
I was thinking about that relicensing thing, but I thought to wait for a bit because I can see that you, Region, and Junichi are working on something bulk changing those things. So that's why I was not involved in that for the moment. At the moment, I think it's better we wait for a bit, right?
For the PHP part, or which part?
The relicensing thing.
Yes, I think for the moment, let's just wait a little bit, because I think the form files can be automated, and I'm doing that at the moment. And secondly, there's Emilian's idea about creating an issue per module. So for the moment, let's wait on working on the relicensing and so on. And just to share my screen, I've just done that. So let's just wait for the moment on this relicensing story. It's nice that this page is here, but let's not do anything with it yet. Everyone on the call, it would help very much if in the coming 2 weeks you would find plugins in the plugin portal And in each case, you would just install them and see whether they work. In many cases, they won't work because, for example, they're plugins for PHP or for Java EE or something, and Apache NetBeans 9 doesn't support that. On the other hand, you can install those features and then install that plugin and try that combination and leave comments around that as well. In addition, so this is something that you can definitely do. And in addition, tweet about NetBeans, try it out, make small movie clips, and tweet about that. And Jirka, do you have any other ideas about what people could be doing right now to support the project?
Well, just pass the message, even like in an oral way, old-fashioned, to the colleagues, friends, so that we increase the adoption, especially of the new location of the NetBeans ID,
yes.
Because this is critical now to switch from the old netbeans.org domain to the Apache one, so that people get used to it and keep going there for the more information and stuff like that.
Yes, and also to add something quickly, netbeans.org is still here. And right now we are in the process of donating this to Apache, and it's taking a very long time, and there are many reasons for that. Once we have donated this to Apache, it will be rerouted to netbeansapache.org. So this will be the home page. In the meantime, we're working on changing links. So for example, right now when you click on Learn More, you will end up on netbeansapache.org. When you click on download, you'll find yourself on netbeansapache.org download page. We're going to change this logo up here to say Apache NetBeans. We're going to change all these things on the front page to avoid as much confusion as possible. But confusion will remain. We're in the middle of a process. It's going to take some time longer. But we're working on what we can do to simplify and to clarify the netbeans.org homepage.
So are we still distributing the 8.2 version at all?
Yeah, if you go to the netbeans.org download page, you can download 8.2, etc. It's still there.
Yeah, but not for the user that just clicks on the button.
No, right now we have changed this. I mean, I did this today. So if we disagree with this, we can do that differently too. But right now, when you click on
this,
because
people still want to do like C++ and PHP, and they will not know how to.
Yeah. Well, they will go here and they will install NetBeans, and then they'll complain on Twitter, and then we'll tell them to install the plugins.
Or just like install something that works, and then you lose a user.
But the problem is, if this goes to the old downloads page, people will install 8.2. I think we want them to install 9.0 now.
Yeah, but they should be informed somehow. Like for example, in this table, it would be a perfect. No, go back. So you see, like the Java SC is something that we can provide from Apache. Right. More or less.
This button should go to Apache.
Yeah.
This button. Yeah.
I mean, more or less. But you could like explain to users that for the latest Java support, grab Apache NetBeans and
on this
folder builds, or I don't know.
Sure. But I mean, I think the problem is no matter how we or what we explain, people will still get it wrong and they will still be confused. Whatever we do, people are going to not understand, because I don't spend enough time, reading the whole background. I mean, it's whatever we do, people get it wrong, basically.
Yeah, but at least like try to explain them.
Well, I mean, that's what we have on the front page. NetBeans ID is free. It's moving to Apache Software Foundation. It's over here. If you click on Learn More, you end up on Apache.
I think I would have but I'm no web designer. Maybe somebody knows how to explain this stuff to millions of users. But I would keep the 8.2 download button and just add the 9.0 Java SE Apache NetBeans or something,
Okay.
they at least have a chance. There was a discussion, but I don't know how it finished with providing older builds under Apache, because I think at least 8.2 should still be like accessible to users.
Okay.
While we have no like PHP release to give them. I mean, it would be a shame to lose and to discourage all these users just because we have no Apache binaries yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Fine. So we'll work on this page. We will clarify on this page, and we will link from this download button to this page. I mean, I changed this today, literally. So it's not as if it's been this way for a long time. It's just today. I will change it back to go here, and then on this page we will explain. But people will just click on the download button, and they will not read any of the text below this. We have experienced this.
Yeah, but you could like on the first page just add another like Apache NetBeans 9.0 and another download button, and specify that it's just for Java.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
If they want PHP, they can still get the Oracle binary.
Okay. Good.
And if they want Java, they get the Apache binary.
I'm sorry to be very abrupt, but we need to end this meeting.
Okay.
It's at the top of the hour. Thank you very much, everyone, for being in this call. And we will talk again in 2 weeks. We'll be on the mailing lists. Any further discussions we can continue and have over there. Thank you very much for this very first call, and please come back in 2 weeks and we'll continue with this and on the mailing lists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.